Chapter 4. Then the Jesus was led into the desert by the Spirit to be tempted by the accuser. And fasting days 40 and nights 40, after he was hungry. And coming to him, the tempter said, If a son thou be of God, speak, that the stones these loaves may become. He but answering said, It is written, Not by bread alone shall live a man, but by every word proceeding from mouth of God. Then takes him, the accuser, into the holy city, and places him on the wing of the temple, and says to him, If a son thou be of God, cast thyself down. It is written, For that to the messengers of him he will give charge of thee. And on the hands they shall raise thee, lest thou strikes against a stone the foot of thee. Said to him the Jesus, Again it is written, Not thou shalt put the proof, Lord, the God of thee. Again takes him the accuser into a mountain high, exceedingly, and shows to him all the kingdoms of the world, and the glory of them, and says to him, This all to thee I will give, if falling down thou wilt do homage to me. Then says to him the Jesus, Go thou behind of me, adversary. It is written, For the Lord the God of thee thou shalt worship, and to him only thou shalt render service. Then leaves him the accuser, and lo, messengers came and ministered to him. Hearing now the Jesus that John was delivered up, he withdrew into the Galilee, and having left the Nazareth, coming dwelt at Capernaum by the seaside, in borders of Zabulon and Nephthalim, that might be fulfilled the word spoken through Esaias the prophet, saying, Land of Zabulon and land Nephthalim, way of the sea by the Jordan, Galilee of the nation, the people who are sitting in darkness saw a light great. And to those sitting in a region, even a shade of death, a light has arisen to them. From that time began the Jesus to proclaim and to say, Reform has come nigh for the royal dignity of the heavens. Walking and by the sea of the Galilee, he saw two brothers, Simon the called Peter, and Andrew the brother of him, casting a fishing net into sea. They were for fishers, and he says to them, Come behind of me, and I will make you fishers of men. They, and immediately leaving the nets, followed him. And going on from thence, he saw other two brothers, James the son of Zebedee, and John the brother of him, in the ship with Zebedee of the father of them, mending the nets of them, and he called them. They and forthwith, leaving the ship, and the father of them, followed him. And went about all the Galilee the Jesus, teaching in the synagogues of them, and preaching the glad tidings of the kingdom, and curing every disease and every malady among the people. And went to the report of him into all the Syria, and they brought to him all the sick, having various diseases and torments, and seized with demoniacs, and lunatics, and paralytics, and he cured them. And followed to him crowds great from the Galilee and Decapolis, and from Jerusalem and Judea and beyond Jordan. Seeing and the multitudes, chapter 5, seeing and the multitudes, he went up to the mountain, and having seated himself, came to him the disciples of him, and opening the mouth of him, he taught them, saying, Blessed the poor to the spirit, because of them is the kingdom of the heavens. Blessed the mourners, for they shall be comforted. Blessed the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed the hungering and thirsting the righteousness, for they shall be satisfied. Blessed the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Blessed the clean to the heart, for they the God shall see. Blessed the peacemaker, for they sons of God shall be called. Blessed those being persecuted on account of righteousness, for them is the kingdom of the heavens. Blessed are ye whenever they reproach you and persecute and say every evil word against you, speaking falsely because of me. Rejoice ye and exult ye, for the reward of you great in the heavens. In this way, for they persecuted the prophets, those before you. You are the salt of the earth. If but the salt becomes tasteless, with what shall it be salted? For nothing is it for service any more, except to be cast out and trodden underfoot by men. You are the light of the world. Not possible a city to hide upon a hill being situated. Nor they light a lamp and place him under the measure, but on the lampstand, and it gives to all those in the house. Thus let it shine the light of you in the presence of men, that they may see of you the good works, and they may praise the Father of you that in the heavens. Not think ye that I have come to destroy the law or the prophets. Not I have come to destroy, but to fulfill. Indeed, for I say to you, till pass away the heavens and the earth, iota one or one fine point in no wise pass from the law, till all be fulfilled. Whoever therefore breaks one of the commandments of this of the least, and teach thus the men least, he shall be called in the kingdom of the heavens. Who but ever shall do and teach the same great shall be called in the kingdoms of the heavens. I say for you that except abound the righteousness of you, of the scribes and Pharisees, by no means you may enter into the kingdom of the heavens. You have heard that it was said to the ancients, Thou shalt not kill. Not thou shalt kill. Who and ever shall kill, liable shall be to the tribunal. I but say to you that all the being angry to the brother of him without cause, liable shall be to the tribunal. Who shall and ever shall say to the brother of him, vile fellow, liable shall be to the Sanhedrin. Who and ever shall say, O fool, liable shall be to the Gehenna of the fire. If therefore thou bring the gift of thee to the altar, and there remember that the brother of thee has somewhat against thee, leave there the gift of thee before the altar, and go, first be thou reconciled to the brother of thee, and then coming, offer the gift of thee. Be thou willing to agree with the opponent of thee quickly, while thou art in the way with him, lest thee deliver up the opponent to the judge, and the judge thee deliver up to the officer, and into prison thou shalt be cast. Indeed, I say to thee, by no means thou wilt come out thence, till thou hast paid the last farthing. You have heard that it was said, not thou shalt commit adultery, but I say to you, that all who looking at a woman in order to lust after her, already has debauched her in the heart of him. If and the eye of thee, the right ensnare thee, tear out it and cast it from thee. It is profitable for to thee that thou should perish one of the members of thee, and not the whole body her, and cast from thee. It is profitable for the right of thee hand ensnare thee, cut off her, and cast from thee. It is profitable to thee that should perish one of the members of thee, and not the whole body of thee should be cast into Gehenna. It was said, and that whoever shall release the wife of him, let him give her a bill of divorce. But I say to you that whoever may release the wife of him, except on account of fornication, makes her to commit adultery, and whoever her being divorced may marry, commits adultery. Again you have heard that it was said to the ancient, not thou shalt swear falsely, shall perform but to the Lord the oaths of thee, of the Father of you in the heavens. Or the oaths of thee. But I say unto you, not to swear at all, not even by the heavens, for a throne it is of God, nor by the earth, for a footstool it is of the feet of him, neither by Jerusalem, for a city it is of the great King, nor by the head of thee shalt thou swear, for not thou able one hair white or black to make. Let be but the word of you, yes, yes, no, no, that for over and above of this, of the evil is. You have heard that it was said, an eye for an eye, and a tooth for a tooth. I but say to you not resist the devil, but whoever thee shall slap upon the right of thee cheek, turn to him the other. And to the purposing thee to sue at law, and the tunic of thee to take up to him also the mantle. And whoever thee shall force to go mile one, go with him too. To the asking thee do thou give, and the wishing from thee to borrow money, not do thou repulse. You have heard that it was said, thou shalt love the neighbor of thee, and hate the enemy of thee. But I say to you, love the enemies of you, bless those cursing you, good do those hating you, and pray for those injuring you and persecuting you, that you may be the sons of the Father of you. For in heaven, for the Son of him, it rises on evil and good, and it rains on just and unjust. If for you love those loving you, what reward have you? Not even the tax gatherers the same do. And if you salute the brothers of you only, what more do you? Not even the Gentiles do. Shall be therefore you perfect, as the Father of you, whom in the heaven perfect is. Take heed the righteousness of you, not to do in the presence of the men, so as to be exhibited to them. But if but otherwise, reward not you have with to the Father of you. In the heavens. When then thou doest alms, not sound a trumpet in the presence of thee, like hypocrites do in the synagogue and in the streets, that they may have praise of men. Indeed, I say to you, they obtain the reward of them. Of thee, but doing alms, giving not, let it know the left of thee what does the right of thee, that it may be of thee the alms giving in the secret. And the Father of thee who seeing in the secret himself will give back to thee in the clear light. And when thou prayest, not thou shalt be like the hypocrites, for they love in the synagogues and in the corners of the wide spaces, standing to pray that they may appear to the men. Indeed, I say to you that they have in full the reward of them. But thou, when thou prayest, enter into the retired place of thee, and locking the door of thee, pray thou to the Father of thee, to there in the secret. And the Father of thee, who seeing in the secret place, will give thee the clear light. Praying but not babble, like the Gentiles. They imagine for that in the wordiness of them they shall be heard. Not therefore you may like to them. Knows for the Father of you what things need you have. Before you ask him in this way, then pray you the Father of us, who in the heavens reverenced the name of thee. Let come the kingdom of thee. Let be done will of thee, as in the heavens, also in the earth. The bread of us, the sufficient, give thou to us today, and discharge to us the debts of us, as even we discharge to the debtors of us, and not bring us unto temptation, but save us from the evil. If for you forgive to the men the faults of them, will forgive also you the Father of you the heavenly. But if not forgive to the men of the faults of them, neither the Father of you will forgive the faults of you. And when you fast, not be like the hypocrites of a sad face. They disfigure for the faces of them, so that they may seem to the men to be fasting. Indeed, I say to you that they obtain the reward of them. Thou but fasting, anoint of thee the head, and the face of thee wash, so that thou not mayest seem to the men fasting, but to the Father of thee that in the secret, and the Father of thee who seeing in the secret will give to thee. Not lay up to you treasures on the earth, where moth and rust destroys, and where thieves dig through and steal. Lay up but to you treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust destroys, and where thieves not dig through nor steal. Wherefore is the treasure of you, there will also be the heart of you. The lamp of the body is the eye. If therefore the eye of thee sound may be, the whole body of thee enlightened will be. If but the eye of thee evil may be, the whole body of thee darkness will be. If then the light that in thee darkness is, the darkness how great? No one is able two lords to serve, either for the one he will hate and the other he will love, or one he will cling to and the other he will slight. Not you are able God to serve and mammon. For this I say to you, not be over careful of the life of you, what you may eat and what you may drink, nor to the body of you, what you may put on. Not the life more is the food, and the body the clothing? Look attentively at the birds of the heaven, for not they sow, nor reap, nor gather into barns, and the Father of you the heavenly feeds them. Not you greatly excel them, which and by of you, being over careful, are able to add to the age of him a span one? And about clothing, why be over careful? Consider the lilies of the field, how it grows, not it labors, nor spins. I say but of you that not even Solomon in all his glory of him was clothed like one of these. If then the grass of the field, today existing and tomorrow into an oven is being cast, the God so clothes, not much more of you weak faith. Not therefore may you be over careful, saying, what may we eat, or what may we drink, or what may we put on? All for this the Gentiles seeks. Knows for the Father of you the heavenly that you have need of this all. Seek you but first the kingdom of God and the righteousness of him, and this all shall be superadded to you. Not therefore be over careful for the morrow. For the morrow will be over careful of herself. Enough to the day the trouble of her. Not you judge. This is chapter 7. Not you judge, that you may not be judged. In what for judgment you judge, you shall be judged, and in what measure you measure, it shall be measured to you. Why seest thou the splinter that in the eye of the brother of thee, that but in thine own eye beam not perceived? Or how wilt thou say to the brother of thee, allow me, I can pull the splinter from the eye of thee, and lo, the beam in the eye of thee? O hypocrite, pull first the beam out of the eye of thee, and then shalt thou see clearly to pull the splinter out of the eye of the brother of thee. Not you may give the holy to the dogs, neither cast the pearls of you before the swine, lest they should trample them under the feet of them, and turning they should rend you. Ask, and it shall be given to you. Seek, you shall find. Knock, it shall be opened to you. All for the asking receives, and the seeking finds, and to the knocking it shall be opened. Or what is there of you a man, who, if ask the son of him bread, not a stone will give him? Or if a fish he ask, not a serpent will give to him? If then you bad ones being, no gifts good to give to the children of you, how much more the Father of you in the heavens give good to those asking him? All therefore, as much soever you may will that should do to you the men, even also you do to them. This four is the law and the prophets. Enter you in through the straight gate, for the wide the gate and the broad that leading into the perdition, and many are those entering through her. How straight the gate and difficult the road that leading into the life, and few are they finding her. Beware thee of the false prophets who come to you in clothing sheep, but within they are wolves ravenous. By the fruits of them you shall know them. What do they gather from thorns, a cluster of grapes, or from the thistle figs? So every tree good fruits good bears, but for the corrupt trees fruit evil bears. Not is possible tree good fruits evil to bear, neither tree corrupt fruits good to bear. Every tree not bearing fruit good is cut down and into a fire is cast. Therefore by the fruits of them ye shall know them. Not all who say to me, O Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of heavens, but he doing the will of the Father of me, of that in heavens. Many shall say to me in that day, O Lord, not to thy name have we prophesied, and to thy name demons have we cast out, and to thy name many have we done? And then I will declare to them, because never I knew you. Depart from me, those working the lawlessness. All therefore, whoever hears of me the words of this and does them, I will compare him to a man prudent who built the house of him upon the rock. And fell down the rain, and came the floods, and blew the winds, and beat against the house, and not it fell. It was founded on the rock. And all those who hearing of me the words this, and not doing them, shall be compared of a man foolish, who built the house of him upon the sand. And fell down the rain, and came the floods, and blew the winds, dashed against the house that it fell, and was the fall her great. And it came to pass, when had finished the Jesus the words this, were astounded the crowds that at the teachings of him. He was for teaching them as authority having, and not as the scribes. Chapter 8, coming down unto him from the mountain, followed after him crowds great. And a leper coming prostrated to him, saying, O sir, if thou wilt, thou art able me to cleanse. And putting forth the hand, he touched him, the Jesus, saying, I will, be cleansed. Immediately was cleansed of him the leprosy. And says to him the Jesus, See no one thou tell, but go thyself, show to the priest, and offer the gift which commanded Moses for a witness to them. Having entered unto him into Capernaum, came to him a centurion, addressing him and saying, O sir, the boy of me is laid in the house a paralytic, greatly being afflicted. And says to him the Jesus, I coming will heal him. And answering the centurion said, O sir, not I am fit that of me under the roof thou shouldst enter. But only speak a word, and I will be healed, the boy of me. Even for I am a man under authority, having under myself soldiers. And as I say to this, Go, and he goes, and to another, Come, and he comes, and to the slave of me, Do this, and he does. Hearing, and the Jesus was astonished, and said to those following, Indeed I say to you, not even in Israel so great faith I have found. I say but to you that many from the east and west will come, and will lie down with Abraham and Isaac and Jacob in the kingdom of the heavens. But the sons of the kingdom shall be cast out into darkness the outer. There will be weeping and gnashing of the teeth. And said Jesus to the centurion, Go, and as thou hast believed, it is be done to thee. And was healed the boy of him in the hour that. And coming the Jesus to the house of Peter, saw the mother-in-law of him being laid down and burning with fever. And he touched the hand of her, and left her the fever, and arose and ministered to them. Evening now being come, they brought to him possessed many, and he cast out the spirits by a word. And all those sickness having healed, that might be fulfilled the words spoken through Isaiah the prophet, saying, Himself the weakness of us he took away, and the diseases he removed. Seeing and the Jesus great multitudes about him, he gave orders to depart to the other side. And coming one scribe said to him, O teacher, I will follow thee wherever thou goest. And said to him Jesus, The foxes dens they have, and the birds of the heaven nests, but the Son of Man not he has, where the head he may rest. Another and of the disciples of him said to him, O Master, permit thou me first to go and bury the father of me. But Jesus said to him, Follow me, and leave the dead ones to bury of themselves dead ones. And entering to him into the ship, followed to him the disciples of him, and lo, a commotion great arose in the sea, so as the ship to cover by the waves. Who but was asleep, and coming the disciples awoke him, saying, O Master, do thou save us, we perish. And he says to them, How timid you are, O you weak faith! Then arising, he rebuked the winds and the sea, and there was a calm and great. Then they and men were astonished, saying, What is this, that even the winds and the sea hearken to him? And coming to him to the other side into the country of the Gerasenes, met him two being demonized, out of the sepulchres, coming forth fierce very, so that not to be able anyone to pass along by the way that. And lo, they cried out, saying, What to us and to thee, O Son of God? Comest thou here before a defined time to torment us? There was now at some distance from them a herd of swine, a herd of swine, many feeding. They and demons implored him, saying, If thou cast us out, send us to the herd of the swine. And he said to them, Go. They and coming out, they went to the swine, and lo, rushed all the herd from the steep place into the lake, and died in the waters. They and feeding them fled, and arriving at the city, related all of those being demonized, and all that of those being demonized. And lo, the whole city went out to meeting to the Jesus, and seeing him, they entreated him that he should depart from the coast of them. And stepping into the boat, he passed over and came into their own city. And lo, they brought to him a paralytic upon a bed. And seeing the Jesus, the faith of them, he said to the paralytic, Take courage, son, are forgiven thee the sins of thee. And lo, some of the scribes said among themselves, This blasphemes. And knowing the Jesus the thoughts of them, says, Why you think evils in the heart of you? Which for is easier to say, Are forgiven of thee the sins, or to say, Arise and walk? That you may know that authority has the Son of Man on the earth to forgive sins. Then he says to the paralytic, Arising, take up of thee the bed, and go into the house of thee. And arising, he went into the house of him. Seeing, and the crowds wondered and glorified the God, but having given authority so great to the men. And passing on, the Jesus from thence, he saw a man sitting at the custom house, Matthew being named, and he says to him, Follow me. And rising up, he followed him. And it happened to him, reclining at the table in the house, and lo, many publicans and sinners coming reclined with the Jesus and the disciples of him. And seeing the Pharisees said to the disciples of him, Why with the publicans and sinners eats the teacher of you? Then Jesus hearing says to them, No need have those being well of a physician, but those sick being. You're going but learn what is mercy I wish, and not a sacrifice. Not for I am come to call just persons, but sinners. Then came to him the disciples of John, saying, Why we and the Pharisees fast much, they but disciples of thee not fast? And he says to them, the Jesus, Not are able some of the bridal chamber to mourn, inasmuch with them is the bridegroom? Shall come but days when may be taken from them the bridegroom, and then they shall fast. No one now puts a patch of cloth unto a mantle old, takes away for the patch of it from the mantle, and worse a rent it becomes. Nor do they put wine new into the bottles old, if but not burst the bottles, and the wine is spilled, and the bottles are destroyed. But they put wine new in bottles new, and both are preserved together. This of him speaking of them, lo, a ruler certain coming prostrated to him, saying, That the daughter of me now is dead, but coming lay the hand of thee upon her, and she shall live. And arising, the Jesus went after him, and the disciples of him. And lo, a woman having a flow of blood 12 years, approaching behind, touched the tuft of the mantle of him. She said for within herself, If only I can touch the mantle of him, I shall be healed. But Jesus, turning and seeing her, said, Take courage, daughter, the faith of thee has saved thee. And was well the woman from the hour of that. And coming Jesus into the house of the ruler, and seeing the flute players and the crowd making noise, says to them, Withdraw, not for is dead the girl, but sleeps. And they derided him. But when they put out the crowd, he entering took hold of the hand of her, and was raised the girl. And went forth the report this into all the land that. And passing on from there, Jesus went after him 2 blind men, crying out and saying, Have pity on us, O Son of David. Being come and into the house, came to him the blind men, and says to them the Jesus, Do you believe that I am able this to do? They say to him, Yes, O Master. Then he touched the eyes of them, saying, According to the faith of you, be it done to you. And were opened to them the eyes, and strictly charged them Jesus, saying, See, no one knows. They but having gone, published him in all the land that this. And going away, lo, they brought to him a man dumb, being demonized. And having cast out the demon, spoke the dumb, and were astonished to the crowd, saying, Never was it seen thus into Israel. But Pharisees said, By the prince of the demons he cast out the demons, and went about Jesus the city all and the villages, teaching in the synagogues of them, and publishing glad tidings of the kingdom, and healing every disease and every malady. Seeing and the crowds, he was moved with pity for them, because they were jaded and scattered like sheep, not having a shepherd. And then he says to the disciples of him, They indeed harvest plenteous, they but laborers few. Implore then the Lord of the harvest that he will send out laborers into the harvest of him. Chapter 10. And having called the 12 disciples of him, he gave them authority, spirits unclean, so as to cast out them, and to heal every disease and every malady. Of the now 12 apostles, the names are these: first Simon, that being called Peter, and Andrew the brother of him, James that of Zebedee, and John the brother of him, Philip and Bartholomew, Thomas and Matthew, the tax gatherer, James that of the Alphaeus, and Lebbaeus the surnamed Thaddeus, Simon the Canaanite, and Judas the Iscariot, who even delivered up him. These were 12 sent forth the Jesus, saying, Never was it commanding them, saying, into a road of Gentiles not you may go, and into a city of Samaritans not you may enter. Go you but rather to the sheep, the perishing house of Israel, passing on your way, and preach you, saying, that has come the kingdom of the heavens. Those being sick heal, dead ones raise up, lepers cleanse, demons cast out. Freely you have received, freely give. Not provide gold nor silver nor copper in the belts of you, not a bag for journey, nor 2 tunics, nor sandals, nor a staff, worthy for the laborer of the food of him is. Into what and every city, our country town, you may enter, search out who in her worthy is, and there abide till you go thence. Entering into the house, salute her, and if indeed may be the house worthy, let come the peace of you on her. If but not may be worthy, the peace of you to you let it return. And who, if not, may receive you, not hear the words of you, coming out of the house or of the city, that shake off the dust of the feet of you. Indeed, I say to you, more tolerable will be the land of Sodom and Gomorrah in a day of trial than the city that. Lo, I send you as a sheep in the midst of wolves. Be therefore wise as the serpents and artless as the doves. Take heed of the men, they will hand over you to the Sanhedrins, and in the synagogues of them they shall scourge you. And before governors and also kings you shall be led on account of me, for a witness to them to the nations. But when they shall deliver up you, not may you be anxious. Now or what you must speak, it shall be given for you in that hour, what you shall speak. Not for you are the speaking, but the Spirit of the Father of you that is speaking in you. Will give up a brother or a brother to death them, and you will be hated by rise up children against parents, and deliver to death them. And you will be hated by all for the name of me, but persevering to the end, the same shall be saved. When but they persecute you in the city this, flee into the other, and if out of this they persecute you, flee into the other. Indeed, for I say unto you, in no wise may finish the cities of Israel, till may come the Son of Man. Not is a disciple above the teacher, nor a slave above the Lord of him. Sufficient to the disciple that he be as the teacher of him, and the slave as the Lord of him. If the master of the house, Beelzebul they named, how much more the domestics of him? Not therefore you may fear them. Nothing for is having been covered, which not shall be uncovered, and secret, which not shall be known. What I say to you in the darkness, speak in the light, and what in the ear you hear, preach you in the housetops. And not be afraid of those killing the body, but life not being able to kill. Be afraid, but rather that being able, both life and body to destroy in Gehenna. Not 2 sparrows and Asarius are sold, and one of them shall fall upon the earth without the Father of you. Of you and even the hairs of the head, all being numbered are. Not therefore fear you, many sparrows are better than you. All therefore, whoever shall confess to me in the presence of men, I'll confess even I to him in the presence of the Father of me, of that in heavens. Whoever but if may deny me in the presence of the men, I will deny him, even in the presence of the Father of me, of that in heavens. Not must you suppose that I am come to send peace upon the earth. Not I am come to send peace, but a sword. I am come for to set a man against the father of him, and a daughter against the mother of her, and a daughter-in-law against the mother-in-law of her, and enemies of the man, the household of him. He loving father or mother above me, not is of me worthy. And he loving son or daughter above me, not is of me worthy. And who not takes the cross of himself and follows after me, not is he of me worthy. He finding the life of himself shall lose her. And he having lost the life of himself on account of me shall find her. He receiving of you me receives, and he me receiving receives him sending me. He receiving a prophet in the name of a prophet, a reward of a prophet shall obtain. And he receiving a just man in the name of a just man, a reward of a just man shall obtain. And whoever may give to one of the little ones this a cup of cold only, in the name of disciples, indeed I say to you, not may lose the reward of himself. And it happened, when has fulfilled the Jesus charging of the 12 disciples of himself, he departed thence of there to teach and to preach in the cities of them. And John, having heard in the prisons the works of the anointed, having sent 2 of the disciples of himself, said to him, Thou art the coming one, or another are we to look for? And answering the Jesus said to them, Go away, relate to John what you hear and see. Blind ones see again, lame ones are walking about, lepers are cleansed, and deaf ones are hearing. Dead ones are raised up, and poor ones are addressed with joyful news. And blessed is whoever may not be offended in me. There and going away began the Jesus to say to the crowds concerning John, What went you in the wilderness in the desert to see? A reed by the wind shaken? But what went you out to see? A man in soft garments having been clothed? Lo, those the soft garments wearing in the house of the kings are. But what you went out to see? A prophet? Yes, I say to you, and much more of a prophet. This for is concerning whom it is written, Lo, I send the messenger of me before the face thee, who shall prepare the way of thee in presence of thee. Indeed I say to you, not has risen among born of women greater of John the Deeper, but less in the kingdom of the heavens greater of him is. From the days of John the Deeper till now, the kingdom of heaven has been invaded, and invaders seized on her. All for the prophets and the law till John prophesied. And if you are willing to receive this, is Elias, that being about to come. He having ears to hear, let him hear. To what but shall I compare the generation this? Like it is boys in the markets sitting and calling to the companions of them, saying, We have played on the flute to you, and not you danced. We have mourned to you, and not you have lamented. Came for John, neither eating nor drinking, and they say, A demon he has. Came the Son of Man, eating and drinking, and they say, Lo, a man glutton and a wine drinker, of tax gatherers, a friend and sinners. But it is justified the wisdom of the children of her. Then began to reproach the cities in which were done the most mighty works of him, because not they reformed. Woe to ye, Chorazin! For to ye, Bethsaida! For it is in Tyre and Sidon had been done the mighty works, those being performed in you long ago would in sackcloth and ashes they have reformed. But I say to you, Tyre and Sidon more tolerable will be in a day of trial than you. And though Capernaum, which even to the heaven at being exalted to invisibility shall be brought down, for if in Sodom had been done the mighty works, those being done in thee, it had remained till this day. But I say to you that that land of Sodom more tolerable will be in a day of trial than thee. On that the occasion answering the Jesus said, I adore thee, O Father, Lord, the heaven and of the earth, because thou hast hid this from the wise men and discerning men, and thou hast revealed them to babes. Yes, the Father, for even so it was good in the presence of thee. All to me are given by the Father of me, and no one knows the Son, if not the Father, neither the Father or anyone knows, if not the Son, and to whom may be willing the Son to reveal. Come to me, all the toiling and being burdened, and I will cause rest you. Take the yoke of me upon you, and be informed by me. For meek I am and humble to the heart, and you shall find a rest to the lives of you. For the yoke of me easy, and the burden of me light is. Chapter 12. And that the season passed, Jesus to the Sabbath through the cornfield. They and disciples of him were angry, and began to pluck ears of corn and to eat. They and the Pharisees said unto him, Lo, the disciples of thee are doing that is not lawful to do in a Sabbath. But he said to them, Not have you known what did David when he was angry? And those with him, how he entered into the house of God, and the laws of the presence did eat, which not lawful was to him to eat, neither to those with him except the priests alone? Or not have you read in the law that to the Sabbath the priest in the temple and the violate and blameless are? I say but to you that of the temple greater is here. But if you had known what is mercy I desire and not a sacrifice, not would you have condemned the blameless. A Lord for is of the Sabbath the Son of Man. And passing on from them, he came into synagogue of them, and lo, a man, there was the hand having withered. And they asked him, saying, If it is unlawful to the Sabbath to heal, that they might accuse him. But he said to them, What shall be among you a man who shall have sheep one, and if should fall this to the Sabbath into a pit, not seize it and raise it up? How much then is superior a man of a sheep? So that it is lawful for the Sabbath good to do. Then he said to the men, Stretch out hand of thee. And he stretched it out, and it was restored whole as the other. Then the Pharisees a council held against him going out, how he might destroy thee. But Jesus, knowing, withdrew from thence, and followed him crowds great. And he healed them all, and charged them that not known to him they should make, so that it might be fulfilled the word spoken through Isaiah the prophet, saying, Lo, the servant of me, whom I have chosen, the beloved of me, in whom takes delight the soul of me. I will put the spirit of me upon him, and judgment to the nation he shall declare. Not he shall I strive, nor cry out, nor shall hear anyone in the wilderness the voice of him. A reed having been bruised, not shall he break, flax smoking, not shall he quench, till he bring forth to our victory the judgment. And to the name of him the nations will hope. Then was brought to him a demoniac, blind and dumb. And he healed him, so that the blind and dumb both to speak and to see. And were amazed all the crowds, and said, Not this is the son of David? And the Pharisees hearing said, This not cast out the demons, if not by Beelzebul, or prince of the demons, knowing that Jesus the thoughts of them, said to them, Every kingdom not being divided against itself is laid waste, and every city or house being divided against itself will not stand. And if the adversary casts out, with himself is he at variance, how then will stand the kingdom of him? And if I by Beelzebul cast out the demons, the son of you by whom do they cast out? In this they of you shall be judged. If but by Spirit of God I cast out the demons, then has suddenly come among you the majesty of the God. Or how is able anyone to enter into the house of a strong man, and the household stuff of him to plunder? If not, first he should bind the strong man, and then the house of him he shall plunder. He not being with me against me is, and he not gathering with me scatters. Therefore, this I say to you, all sin and all evil speaking shall be forgiven to the men. But of the spirit evil speaking shall not be forgiven to the men. And whoever may speak a word against the Son of Man, it shall be forgiven him. Who but ever speaks against of the Holy Spirit, it shall it be forgiven to him. Neither in this age nor in the coming, either make you the tree good and the fruits of him good, or make you the tree corrupt and the fruits of him corrupt. For the fruit the tree is known. O broods of venomous serpents, how are you able good things to speak, evil men being? Out for the fullness of the heart the mouth speaks. The good man out of the good of the treasure bring forth the good things, and the evil man out of the evil treasure brings forth evil things. I say but to you that every word idle, which if may speak to the men, they shall give account concerning this word in a day of trial. For the word of thee thou shalt be acquitted, and by the word of thee thou shalt be condemned. Then answered some of the scribes and Pharisees, saying, O teacher, we wish from thee a sign to see. He but answering said to them, A generation evil and adulterous a sign demands, and a sign not shall be given to her, if not the sign of Jonas the prophet. Like as was the Jonas in the belly of the fish 3 days and 3 nights, so shall be the Son of Man in the heart of the earth 3 days and 3 nights. Men Ninevites shall stand up in the judgments against the generations of this, and shall give judgment against her, for they reformed at the preaching of Jonas, and lo, a greater of Jonas is here. Queen of the south shall rise up in the judgment against the generation of this, and shall give judgment against her, for she came from the ends of the earth to hear the wisdom of Solomon, and lo, a greater of Solomon is here. When but the unclean spirit may come out from the man, it wanders about through the dry places, seeking a resting place, and not it finds. Then it says, I'll return unto the house of me whence I came. And coming, it finds it being empty, and having been swept, and having been set in order. Then it goes and takes with itself 7 other spirits more wicked of itself. And they entering finds an abode there, and becomes the last state of the man, the worst of the first. Thus will be the generation, this the wicked. While and he is talking to the crowds, lo, the mother and the brother of him stood without, seeking to him to speak. Said one to him, Lo, the mother of thee and the brother of thee without stand, seeking to thee to speak. He but answering said to the man, informing him, Who is the mother of me, and who are the brothers of me? And stretching out the hand of him towards the disciples of him, said, Lo, the mother of me and the brothers of me, whoever may do the will of the Father of me, that in heavens, the same of me, a brother and a sister and a mother is. In but the day that, chapter 18, in but the day that, departing the Jesus from the house, he sat by the sea, and were gathered to him crowds great, so that he into the ship entering to be seated, and the crowd on the shore stood, and he spake to them much in parables, saying, Lo, went out the sower of the seed to sow. And in the sowing, some indeed fell on the path, and came the birds, and ate them. Others fell on the rocky ground, where not it had earth much, and immediately sprang up, though the not to have a depth of the earth. Sun and having risen, it was scorched, and through the not to have a roof was dried up. Others fell among the thorns, and spring up the thorns, and choked them. Others fell on the ground, and bore fruit, the one 100, and another 60, and another 30. He having ears to hear, let him hear. And coming the disciples said to him, Why in parables makest thou to them? Speakest thou to them? He and answering said to them, Because to you it is given to know the secrets of the kingdom of the heavens. To them but not it is given. Whoever for has, it shall be given to him, and he will be gifted with abundance. Whoever but not has, even what he has shall be taken from him. Therefore, this in parables to them I speak, for seeing not they see, and hearing not they hear, neither do they understand. And it is fulfilled to them to prophecy of Isaiah, that saying, By hearing thou shalt hear, and not may you understand, and seeing you will see, and not you may see. Has grown fat for the heart of the people this, and with the ears heavily they hear, and the eyes of them they shut, lest they should see with the eyes, and with the ears they should hear, and with the heart should understand, that they should turn, and I should heal them. Of you but blessed the eyes, for they see, the ears of you, for they hear. Indeed, I say to you that many prophets and righteous men have desired to see what you see, and not so, and to hear what you hear, and not heard. You therefore hear the parable of the sower, and one hearing the word of the kingdom, and not understanding, comes the wicked one, and snatches that having been sown in the heart of him. This is that on the path being sown. That but on the rocky ground being sown, this is who the word hearing, and forthwith with joy receiving it, not he has but a root in himself, but transient is arising and trial or persecution through the word, immediately he is offended. That burst into the thorns being sown, this is who the world hearing and the care of the ages this, and the delusions of the riches choke, and the word the unfruitful becomes. That but on the ground the good being sown, this is who the word hearing and understanding, who really bears fruit and yields that 100, another 60, and another 30. Another parable he proposed to them, saying, Maybe compare the kingdom of the heavens to a man sowing good seed in the field of him. And in the to sleep the men came to him the enemy and sowed darnel through midst of the wheat, and went forth. When and was springing up the blade and fruit yielding, then appeared also the darnel. Coming, and the slaves of the householder said to him, O Lord, good seed didst thou sow in the field. Whence thou hast it darnel? He and said to them, An enemy, a man this has done. And the slaves say to them, Dost thou wish that we go forth? We should gather them? He said, No, lest the gathering the darnel you should root up with them the wheat. Leave them to grow together, both till the harvest, and the time of the harvest I'll say to the harvester, Gather you first the darnel, and bind you them into bundles, for they to burn them, but the wheat bring them together into the barn of me. Another parable he proposed to them, saying, Like is the kingdom of the heavens to a grain of mustard, which taking a man sowed in the field of him, which less indeed is of all the seeds, but when it may be grown, greater of the herbs is, and becomes a tree, so that to come the birds of the heavens, and to make nests in the branches of it. Another parable he spake to them, like is the kingdom of heaven to leaven, which taking a woman mixed in of meal measures 3, till it was leavened whole. This all spake the Jesus in parables to the crowds, and which without parable not he spake to them, so that it might be fulfilled the word spoken through the prophet, saying, I will open in parables the mouth of men. I will openly declare things having been hid from the beginning of the world. Then leaving the crowds, went into the house the Jesus, and came to him the disciples of him, saying, Explain to us the parable of the darnels of the field. He and answering to them, He sowing the good seed is the Son of Man, and the field is the world. The good seed, they are the ones of the kingdom, the sons of the kingdom. The darnel are the sons of the wicked one. The enemy, he having sown them, is the adversary and the harvest. And the end of the age, the harvest, the end of the age is. They and the reaper messengers are. And therefore are gathered the darnel, and in a fire are burned. So will it be in the end of the age with this. Will send the Son of Man the messengers of him, and they will gather out of the kingdom of him all the seducers and those working the lawlessness, and they will cast them into the furnace of fire. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Then the righteous shall shine as the sun in the kingdom of the Father of them. Having ears to hear, let him hear. Again, like is the kingdom of heaven to a treasure, having been hid in the field, which finding a man he hides, and from the joy of him he goes, and all as much he has sells, and buys the field. That again, like in the kingdom of the heaven to a man, a merchant, seeking choice pearls, finding an one costly pearl, going to be sold as much as he had, and bought it. Again, like is the kingdom of heaven to a dragnet, being cast into the sea, and of every kind bringing together, which when it is full, drawing to the shore, and sitting down, they collected the good into the vessels, the bad away they cast. So it will be in the end of the age. Shall go these messengers, and shall separate the wicked from among the just, and shall cast them into the furnace of the fire. There will be the weeping and the gnashing of the teeth, says to them the Jesus. Have you understood these things all? They say to him, Yes, O Lord. He then said to them, Therefore this every scribe, being instructed to the kingdom of the heaven, like is to a man a householder who brings out the treasury of him new and old. And it came to pass, when he had concluded Jesus the parables this, he departed thence, and coming unto the country of him, he taught them in the synagogue of them, so as to astonish them, and to say, Where this wisdom is, where the wisdom this, and the powers? Not this is the carpenter's son, not the mother of him called Mary, and the brothers of him James and Joseph and Simon and Judas, and the sisters of him not all with us are? Whence then these all? And they found a difficulty in him. And Jesus said to them, Not is a prophet unhonored, if not in the country of him and in the house of him. And he did not do their mighty works many, because of the unbelief of them. Chapter 14. And that the time had Herod the Tetrarch the fame of Jesus, and said to the servants of him, This is the John the Dipper, he is raised from the dead, and therefore this is the mighty power's work in him. Therefore Herod, seizing the John, had bound him and put him in prison, on account of Herodias, the wife of Philip, the brother of him. He said for to him the John, Not it is lawful for thee to have her. And wishing him to destroy, he feared the people, for as a prophet him they esteemed. Birthday of, but was being held of the Herod. Danced the daughter of the Herodias in the midst, and pleased the Herod. Whereupon with an oath he promised to her to give whatsoever she might ask. She, and being incited by the mother of her, Give to me, she said, here upon a plate the head of John the Dipper. And was sorry the king, because by the oath and those reclining the table he commanded it to be given. And sending, he cut off the head of the John in the prison, and was brought the head of him on a plate. And it was given to the little girl, and she brought it to the mother of her. And coming, the disciples of him took the body, and they buried it, and departing they stole him to the Jesus. And having heard, the Jesus withdrew from thence in a ship into a desert place by himself. And having heard the crowds, they followed him by land from the cities. And coming out, the Jesus saw a great crowd. He was moved with pity towards them, and healed the sick of them. Evening, and having came to him the disciples of him, saying, A desert is the place, and the hour has passed by. Dismiss the crowds, that going into the villages they may buy themselves victuals. But Jesus said to them, No need they have to go away. Give to them you to eat. They say to him, Not we have here except 5 loaves and 2 fishes. He said, Bring to me them here. And directing the crowds to recline upon the grass, taking the 5 loaves and 2 fishes, looking up to the heavens, he gave praise, and breaking, he gave to the disciples the loaves, and the disciples to the crowds. And they ate all, and were filled. And they took up the over and above of the fragments, 12 baskets full. Those and eating were men above 5,000, before men, women, and children. And immediately he urged the disciples to enter the ship and to go before him into the other side, while he should dismiss the crowds. And having sent away the crowds, he went up into the mountain by himself to pray. Evening having come, alone he was there, they and the ship in the midst of the sea was, having been tossed by the waves, was for contrary the wind. In the fourth watch of the night he went to them, walking upon the sea. And seeing him, the disciples upon the sea walking, they were terrified, saying that an apparition is, and from the fear they cried aloud. Immediately, but spake to them the Jesus, saying, Take courage, I am not, be afraid. Answering and him the Peter said, Lord, if thou art, bid me to thee to come upon the water. He and said, Come. And descending from the boat, the Peter walked upon the waters to come to the Jesus. Seeing but the wind strong, he was afraid, and beginning to sink, he cried, saying, O Lord, save me. And immediately the Jesus, stretching out the hand, took hold of him, and says to him, O distrustful man, for why didst thou doubt? And entering of them into the ship, ceased the wind. They and in the ship coming, prostrated to him, saying, Certainly of a God a son thou art. And having passed over, they came to the land of Gennesaret, and knowing him the men of the place that, they sent into all the country around about that, and they brought to him all the disease having, and besought him that only they might touch the tuft of the mantle of him. And as many as touched were made whole. Chapter 15. Then came to the Jesus those from Jerusalem, scribes and Pharisees, saying, Why the disciples of thee transgress tradition of the elders? Not for they wash their hands of them whenever bread they may eat. He but answering said to them, Why also you transgress the commandment of the Lord through the tradition of you? He for God he commanded, saying, Honor the father and the mother, and he reviling the father or mother, death let him die. You but say, Whoever may say to the father or the mother a gift, Whatever out of me thou mightest be profited, then not may honor the father of him or the mother of him. And you annul the commandment of the Lord through the tradition of you, O hypocrites. Well, prophesied concerning you Isaiah, saying, The people this with the lips of me honor, but with the heart of them far off is removed from me. Without profit by they reverenced me, teaching a doctrine, commandments of men. And having called the crowd, he said to them, Hear you and be instructed, not that entering into the mouth pollutes the man, but that proceeding out of the mouth, this pollutes the man. Then having come to the disciples of him, saying to him, Knowest thou that the Pharisees, hearing that saying, found a difficulty? He but answering them said, Every plantation which not has planted the Father of me heavenly shall be rooted up. Let alone them. Guides they are blind of blind, blind and blind if may lead, both into the pit will fall. Answering, and the Peter said to him, Explain to us the comparison this. And Jesus said, Yet also you unintelligent are, not yet perceive you, that all that entering into a mouth into the belly passes, and into a privy it is cast? Those but proceeding out of the mouth from the heart issues forth, and they pollute man. From the heart comes forth purposes evil, murders, adulteries, fornications, thefts, false testimonies, evil speakings. This is the things polluting the man, that but with unwashed hands to eat not pollutes man. And departing thence, Jesus withdrew into the confines of Tyre and Sidon. And lo, a woman, a Canaanite, of the parts, those coming out, cried out to him, saying, Pity on me, Lord, O Son of David. The daughter of me sadly is demonized. He but not answered her a word, and coming, the disciples of him besought him, saying, Send away her, for she cries at the back of us. But answering said, Not I am sent except to the sheep, the perishing house of Israel. She then coming prostrated to him, saying, O Lord, give aid to me. He but answering said, Not it is right to take the bread of the children and to throw to the dogs. She but said, True, O Lord, even for the dogs eat tastes of the crumbs of the fallings from the table of the masters then. Then answering the Jesus said to her, O woman, great of thee the faith, let it be to thee as thou wilt. And was healed the daughter of her from the hour that. Departing from thence, the Jesus came near the sea, the Galilee, and ascending into the mountains, he sat down there, and came to him crowds great, having with them lame, blind, deaf, maimed, and others many. And they laid them at the feet of Jesus, and he healed them, so that the crowds to wonder, beholding deaf, speaking, maimed, sound, lame, walking. And blind saying, they glorify the God of Israel. Then Jesus, having called the disciples of him, saying, I have compassion on the crowd, for already days 3 they have remained with him, and not they have anything they may eat. And to send them away fasting not I will, lest they may faint in the way. And they said to him, the disciples of him, Whence to us in a desert place loaves so many, so as to satisfy a crowd so great? And said to them the Jesus, How many loaves have you? They said, 7 and a few small fishes. And he directed the crowds to recline upon the ground, and taking the 7 loaves and the fishes, giving thanks, he broke, and he gave to the disciples of him, and the disciples to the crowd. And they ate all, were filled, and they took up that over and above of the fragments, 7 large baskets full. They and eating were 4,000 men, besides women and children. And having sent away the crowds, he went into the ship and came to the coasts of Magdala. And coming the Pharisees, chapter 16. And coming the Pharisees and Sadducees, tempting, they asked him a sign from the heavens to show to them. He but answering said to them, Evening coming, you say fair weather, reddens for the heavens, and in the morning, today a storm is red for lowering the heavens. Hypocrites! The truly face of the heaven you know to judge, but the signs of the time not can you. A generation evil, and adulterous a sign seeks, and a sign not shall be given to her, except the sign of Jonas the prophet. And leaving them, he went away, and coming the disciples of him to the other side has forgotten loaves to take. Then Jesus said to them, Look and take heed of the leaven of the Pharisees and Sadducees. They reasoned among themselves, saying, Because loaves not we have brought. Knowing that Jesus said, Why reason you amongst themselves, O you weak faith? Because loaves not you have brought. Not yet perceive you, nor remember you, the 5 loaves of the 5,000 and how many baskets you took up, nor the 7 loaves of the 4,000 and how many large baskets you took up. Why not you perceive that not about bread I spoke to you? Take heed of the leaven of the Pharisees and Sadducees. Then they understood that not did he say, beware of the leaven of the bread, but of the doctrine of the Pharisees and of the Sadducees. Coming unto Jesus into the paths of Caesarea or the Philip, asked the disciples of him, saying, whom may say they the man to be, the Son of the Man? They said, some John the Dipper, others said Elias, and others said Jeremiah, or one of the prophets. He says to them, you but who say to be? Answering, and Simon Peter said, thou art the anointed, the Son of God, the living. The answering the Jesus said to him, blessed art thou, Simon Peter of Jonas, for flesh and blood not it has revealed to thee, but the Father of me that in the heavens also. To thee say that thou art a rock, and upon the rock I will build of me the church, and gates of Hades not shall prevail against her. And I will give to thee the keys of the kingdom of the heavens, and whatever thou mayest bound upon the earth shall be bound in the heavens, and whatever thou mayest loose upon the earth shall be loosed in the heavens. Then he charged the disciples of him that by no one they should tell that he is the anointed. From that time began Jesus to show to the disciples of him that must he to go to Jerusalem, and many things to suffer from the elders and high priests and scribes, and to be killed, and the third day to be raised. And taking aside him, the Peter began to reprove him, saying, be it far from thee, Lord, not shall be to thee this. He but turning said to the Peter, go thou behind me, adversary, a stumbling block of me thou art, for not thou regardest the things of God, but those of men. Then Jesus said to the disciples of him, if any one wish after me to come, let him deny himself, and let him bear the cross of him and follow me. Whoever for may wish the life of him to save, shall I lose her. Whoever and may lose the life of him on account of me, shall find her. What for is profited a man if the world whole he may win, the life of him he may forfeit? Of what shall give a man in exchange of the life of him? Is about for the Son of Man to come in the glory of the Father of him, with the messengers of him, and then he will render to each one according to the behaviors of him. Indeed, I say to you, there are some of those here, having stood, who not shall taste of death, till they may see the Son of the Man coming in the royal majesty of him. And after days 6 takes the Jesus the Peter and James and John the brother of him, and leads up them to a mountain high privately. And he was transfigured in the presence of them, shone the face of him as the sun, and the garments of him become white as light. And lo, appeared to them Moses and Elias with them, talking. Answering, and the Peter said to the Jesus, O Lord, good it is, us here to be. If thou wilt, we may make here 3 tents, to thee one, and to Moses one, and to one Elias. Still of him speaking, lo, a cloud of light overshadowed them. And lo, a voice out of the cloud saying, This is the Son of Man, the beloved, in whom I delight. Of him hear you. And having heard the disciples, they fell upon the face of them, and were frightened greatly. And coming near Jesus, touched them, and said, Be you raised, and not be afraid. Lifting up the eyes of them, no one they saw except the Jesus alone. And descending on them from the mountain, charged them Jesus, saying, To no one you may tell the vision, till the sons of men from dead ones shall be raised. And asked him the disciples of him, saying, Why then the scribes say that Elias must come first? But Jesus answering said to them, Elias truly comes first, and shall restore all things. I say but to you that Elias just now came, and not they knew him, but have done to him as much as they wished. Thus also the Son of the Man is about to suffer by them. They then understood the disciples that concerning John the Leper he spoke to them. And having come to them to the crowd, came to him a man, knee falling him, and saying, O Lord, have pity on me, the son, for he is moonstruck, and sadly suffers. Often he falls into the fire, and often into the water. And I brought him to the disciples of thee, and they were not able him to heal. Answering unto Jesus said, O generation unfaithful, and having been perverted, till when shall I be with you? Till when shall I bear you? Bring you to me him here. And rebuked him the Jesus, and came out of him the demon, and was cured the boy from the hour that. Then coming the disciples to the Jesus by himself said, Why we not able to cast out it? The Jesus said to them, On account of unbelief of you. Indeed, for I say unto you, if you have faith as a grain of mustard, you will say to the mountain this, Be thou removed from here, there, and it will remove, and nothing will be impossible to you. This but the kind not goes out, if not in prayer and fasting. Were traveling, and of them in the Galilee said to them the Jesus, Is about the Son of Man to be delivered into the hands of men, and they will kill him, and the third day he will be raised. And they were grieved exceedingly. Having arrived, and of them at Capernaum, came those that did righteousness, receiving to the Peter, and said, The teacher of you not pays the did righteousness? He says, Yes. And when he was come into the house, anticipated him the Jesus, saying, Which to thee seems right? Simon, the kings of the earth from whom they take taxes or census, from the sons of them or from the aliens? Says to them the Peter, From the aliens. Says to him the Jesus, Then exempt are the sons, but not we may offend them. Going to the sea, cast thou a hook, and the ascending first fish take up. Opening the mouth of him, thou wilt find a starter. That taking, give to them for me and thee. Chapter 18. In that the hour came the disciples to the Jesus, saying, Who then greater is in the kingdom of heaven? And having called the Jesus a little child, placed it in the midst of them, and said, Indeed I say to you, if not you be changed, and become as the little children, not you may enter into the kingdom of heaven. Whoever therefore may humble himself as the little child, he is greater in the kingdom of heaven. Whoever may receive a little child, such one on the name of me, he receives. But whoever may ensnare one of the little ones, this, of the believing into me, it is appropriate to him that should be hung a millstone upper on the neck of him, and he should be sunk in the depth of the sea. Woe to the world from the snares necessary for it is to come the snares, but woe to the man to that through whom the snare comes. If therefore the hand of thee or the foot of thee ensnares thee, cut off from them and cast from thee. Good to thee it is to enter into the life lame or crippled than 2 hands or 2 feet, having to be recast into the fire, age-lasting. And if the eye of thee ensnares thee, tear it out and cast from thee. Good to thee it is, one-eyed into the life to enter, than 2 eyes having to be cast into the Gehenna of the fire. See, not you may despise one of the little ones this. I say for to you that the messengers of them in heavens perpetually see the face of the Father of me, that in heavens is come for the Son of Man to save the having been lost. What to you seems right? If should have any man 100 sheep, and should go astray from one of them, not leaving the 99 upon the mountains, going he seeks that having strayed, and if he should happen to find it, indeed I say to you, he rejoices over it more, that over the 99, those not having been led astray. Thus not it is will in the presence of the Father of you that in the heavens, that should perish one of the little ones of them. If and should be in error against thee the brother of thee, go test him between thee and him alone. If they he may hear thou has won the brother of thee. If but not he may hear, take with thee besides 1 or 2, that by mouth of 2 witnesses or 3 may be proved every word. If and he should disregard them, tell thou to the congregation. If and also of the congregation he should disregard, let him be to thee as the Gentile and the tax gatherer. Indeed I say to you, whatever you may bind on the earth shall be having been bound in the heaven, and whatever you may loose on the earth shall be having been loosed in the heavens. Again I say to you, that if 2 of you may agree upon the earth about any matter, whatever they may ask, it shall be to them from the Father of me. Of that in heaven, wherefore are 2 or 3 having come together. In my name, therefore I am in the midst of them. Then coming to him, the Peter said, O Lord, how often shall sin against me, the brother of me? And I shall forgive him till 7 times. Says to him the Jesus, No, I say to thee, till 7 times, but till 70 times 7. Therefore this has been compared the kingdom of the heavens to a man king, who wished to settle an account with the slaves of him, having begun and of him to settle. They brought to him one debtor of 10,000 talents, not having but of him to pay, ordered him the lord of him to be sold, and the wife of him and the children and as much as he had, and payment to be made. Falling down therefore, the slave he prostrated to him, saying, O Lord, have patience with me, and all to thee I will pay. Being moved with pity, then the lord of the slave of that loosed him, and the debt remitted to him. Going out by the slave, had found one of the fellow slaves of him, who owed to him 100 denarii, and seized him, he choked him, saying, Pay to me anything thou owest. Falling down therefore, the fellow slave of him besought him, saying, Have patience with me, and I will pay to thee. He and not he would, but going away he cast him into prison, till he should pay what he was owing. Seeing and that the fellow slaves of him that having been done were grieved much, and going they related to the lord of them all that having been done. Then having called him, the lord of him says to them, O slave wicked, all the debt that I remitted to thee, because thou besought me not, was it binding also thee to have pitied the fellow slave of thee, as also I thee pitied? And being provoked, the Lord of him delivered him to the jailers, till he may pay all that owing to him. So and also the Father of me heavenly will do to you, if you will not forgive each one of the brother of him from the hearts of you. And it came to pass, chapter 19, and it came to pass, when ended the Jesus the words this, he departed from the Galilee and came into the confines of the Judea beyond the Jordan, and followed him crowds great, and he healed them there. And came to him the Pharisees, trying him and saying to him, If it is lawful to a man to release the wife of him upon every cause. He and answering said to them, Not have you read that the Creator from a beginning, a male and a female he made them, and said, On account of this shall leave a man the father and the mother, and shall be closely united to the wife of him, and shall be the two into flesh one, so that no longer they are two, but flesh one. Then the God has joined together a man not disunites. They say to him, Why then Moses did enjoin to give scroll of separation and to release her? He says to them, That Moses, for the hardness of heart of you, suffered you to release the wives of you. From a beginning but it was not so. I say but to you that whoever may release the wife of him, except for fornication, and may marry another, commits adultery. And he, her being released marrying, commits adultery. They say to him, the disciples of him, If thus is the case of the man with the woman, not it is profitable to marry. He but said to them, Not all admit the word this, but whom it has been given there are for eunuchs, who from womb of mother were born so, and there are eunuchs who are made eunuchs by men, and there are eunuchs who are made eunuchs themselves on account of the kingdom of the heavens. He being able to admit it, let him admit it. Then were brought to him little children, that the hands he may lay on them, and he might pray. But disciples rebuked them. Then Jesus said, Suffer the little children, and not hinder them to come to me. For such is like the kingdom of the heavens. And laying on them of the hands, he departed thence. And lo, one coming said to him, O teacher, good, what good must I do that I may have life age-lasting? He said to him, Why me ask thou concerning the good? One is the good. If but thou wishest to enter into the life, keep strictly the commandments. He says to them, Which? And the Jesus said, This, not thou shalt kill, nor thou shalt commit adultery, nor thou shalt testify falsely. Honor the father and the mother, and thou shalt love the neighbor of thee and as thyself, says to him the young man. All this I have kept from childhood of me. What more do I want? Said to him the Jesus, If thou wishes perfect to be, go, sell all the possessions and give to the poor, and thou shalt have treasure in heaven, and hither follow me. Having heard the young man the word, went away sorrowing. He was for having possessions many. Then Jesus said to the disciples of himself, Indeed I say to you that with difficulty a rich man shall enter into the kingdom of the heavens. Again I say to you, easier it is a camel through a hole of a nail to pass than a rich man into the kingdom of God to enter. Having heard, and the disciples were amazed exceedingly, saying, Who then is able to be saved? Looking by the Jesus said to him, With man this is impossible, but with God all is possible. Then answering the Peter said to him, Lo, we left all and followed thee. What then shall be to us? And Jesus said to them, Indeed, I say to you that you, having followed me, in the new birthday, when may sit the Son of the Man upon a throne of glory of him, shall sit also upon 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. And all who left houses or brothers or sisters or fathers or mothers or wife or children or fields on account of the name of me, 100-fold shall receive, and life everlasting shall inherit. Many shall be first last, and last first. Chapter 20. Like for is the kingdom of the heavens to a man, a householder, who went out mourning to hire laborers into the vineyard of him. Having agreed with the laborers for a denarius the day, he sent them into the vineyard of him. And going out above a third hour, he saw others standing in the marketplace idle, and to them he said, Go, and you into the vineyard, and whatever may ye just, I will give to you. They and went away. Again going out about 6th and 9th hour, he did in like manner. About and the 11th hour going out, he found others standing, and he says to them, Why here stood you all the day idle? They said to him, Because no one else hired. He says to them, Go also into the vineyard, and whatever may ye just, you shall receive. Whatever may be just, you shall receive. Evening and having come on, says the Lord of the vineyard to the stewards of him, Call the laborers and give to them the hire. Beginning from the last till the first, and having come those about the 11th hour, received each a denarius. Having come then those first, suppose that more they shall receive, and received also they each a denarius. Having received, but they murmured against the householder, saying, That this the last one's 1 hour worked, and equal to us them thou hast made, to the having endured the burden of the day, and the burning heat. He but answering said to one of them, Friend, not I wrong thee? Not of a denarius did thou agree to me? Take thee thine, and go. I wish unto this the last to give as also to thee. Or not is it lawful for me to do what I will with my own? Or the eye or the evil is, because I good am? Thus shall be the last first, and the first last. Many for are called, few are chosen. And going up the Jesus to Jerusalem, he took the 12 disciples privately in the way, and said to them, Lo, we go up to Jerusalem, and the Son of Man will be delivered up to the high priests and scribes, and they will condemn him to death. They will deliver up him to the Gentiles to mock and to scourge and to crucify, and in the third day he will stand up. Then came to him the mother of the sons of Zebedee with the sons of her, prostrating and asking something from him. He answered to her, What wilt thou? She says to him, That I may seat these 2 sons of me, one at the right of thee, and one at the left of thee, in the kingdom of thee. Answering but the Jesus said, Not you know what you ask? Are you able to drink the cup which I am about to drink? They said to him, We are able. And he said to them, Indeed the cup of me you shall drink, but to sit at the right hand of me and the left of me, not is mine to give, but to whom it has been prepared by the Father of me. And having heard the 10, were angry on account of the 2 brothers. But Jesus, having called them, said, You know that the rulers of the nations domineer over them, not thus great exercise authority over them. Not thus it shall be among you, but whoever may wish among you great to become, let him of you servant, and whoever may wish among you to be first, let him of you a slave. Even as the Son of Man not came to be served, but to serve, and to give the life of him as a ransom for many. And departing of them from Jericho, followed him a crowd great, and lo, 2 blind men sitting by the way, hearing that Jesus passes by, cries out, saying, Pity on us, O Lord, Son of David. The crowd reproved them that they might silence. They but more did cry out, saying, Pity us, O Lord, Son of David. And having stopped, the Jesus called them and said, What do you wish I should do to you? They said to him, O Lord, that may be opened of us the eyes. Being moved with pity, and the Jesus, he touched the eyes of them, and immediately saw again of them the eyes, and they followed him. Chapter 21. And when they were nigh to Jerusalem, and had come to Bethphage by the mountain of the olive trees, Jesus sent away 2 disciples, saying to them, You may go into the village over against you, and immediately you will find an ass having been bound, and a foal with her, having loosed. Bring to me. And if any one of you should say anything, you shall say that the Lord of them need has. Immediately, and he will send them. This and all has been done that might be fulfilled the word. Spoken through the prophet, saying, Say to the daughter of Zion, Lo, the king of thee comes to thee meek, and having been set on an ass, even a foal of a son of a beast of burden. Having gone and the disciples, and having done as commanded to them Jesus, they led the ass and the foal, and they placed upon them the mantles of them, and they caused to sit on one of them. Then greater crowd spread of themselves the mantles in the way. Others cut off branches from the trees and scattered in the way. The crowds, those going before, those following, did cry, saying, Hosanna to the Son of David. Worthy of blessings, he coming in the name of the Lord. Hosanna in the highest. And having entered of them into Jerusalem, was moved all the city, saying, Who is this? Then the crowd says, This is Jesus the prophet, that from the Nazareth of the Galilee. And entered Jesus into the temple of the Lord, and cast out all the selling and buying in the temple. And the tables of the money changers overturned, on the seats of the selling doves. And he says to them, It is written, The house of me, a house of prayer shall be called. You but have made a den of robbers. And came to him blind and lame in the temple, and he healed them. Having seen by the high priests and the scribes the wonders which he did, and the boys crying in the temple and saying, Hosanna to the Son of David, they were angry and said to him, Hearest thou what these are saying? Then and Jesus said to him, Yes, never have you read that out of the mouth of babes and suckling ones thou hast perfected praise? And having left them, he went out of the city into Bethany, and he lodged there. Early but returning into the city, he was hungry, and seeing a fig tree one by the way, he came to her, and nothing found in her except leaves alone. And he says to her, No more by thee fruit may be produced to the age. And withered immediately the fig tree. And seeing the disciples wondered, saying, How soon withered the fig tree? Answering, and Jesus said to them, Indeed I say to you, if you may have faith, and thou shalt not doubt, not only the miracle of the fig tree you shall do, but also, if to the mountain, this you shall say, Be thou lifted up, and be cast into the sea, it shall be done. And all whatever you shall ask in the prayer, believing you shall receive. And having come to him into the temple, came to him teaching the high priests and elders of the people, saying, By what authority these things doest thou? And who to thee gave the authority this? Answering, Jesus said to them, I will seek you also one word. I word one, which if you may say to me, also I to you will tell, by what authority these things will do. The dipping of John, whence was? From heaven or from men? They and reasoned among themselves, saying, If you should say from heaven, he will say to us, Why then did you not believe in him? But if we should say from men, we fear the crowd, and all hold John as a prophet. And they answering to Jesus said, Not we know. Say to them, and he, Neither I say to you by what authority these things I do. But to you seems right. A man had children too, and coming to the first he said, Son, go today work in the vineyard for me. He answering said, No, I will afterward. But having changed his mind, he went. And coming to the other he said to the same. He answering said, I, Lord, and not went. Who of the two did will of the Father? They said to him, the first. Says to them Jesus, Indeed I say to you, that the tax gatherers and the harlots go before you into the kingdom of God. Came for to you the John in a way of righteousness, and you believed, and not you believed him. But tax gatherers and harlots believed him. You and seeing not repented afterwards of the to believe in him. Another parable hear you. Was a householder who planted a vineyard and a hedge to it placed around, and dig in it a winepress, built a tower and left out to a husbandman, and went abroad. When drew near the time of the fruits, he sent the slaves of him to the husbandmen to receive the fruits of it. And having taken the husbandmen, the slaves of him, indeed they flayed him, and they killed him, and they pelted with stone. Again he sent other slaves greater, the first. And they did to them in like manner afterwards, and he sent to them the sons of him, saying, They will regard the son of me. The but husbandmen, seeing the son, said among themselves, This is the heir, come, we may kill him, and retain the inheritance of him. And having taken him, they cast out of the vineyard and killed. When therefore may come the Lord of the vineyard, what will he do to the husbandmen, to those? They say to him, Wretches, wretchedly destroy them, and the vineyard will let out other husbandmen, who will render to him the fruits in the seasons of them. He says to them, the Jesus, Never have you read in the writings, a stone which rejected their building, the same was made into a head of a corner. From Lord was this, it is wonderful in the eyes of us. On account of this I say to you, that shall be broken for you the kingdom of God, and shall be given to nation, making the fruits of her. And the falling on the stones, this shall be broken, and on whom but it shall fall, it will crush to pieces. And having heard the high priests and the Pharisees the parables of him, knew that about them he says, and seeking him to say, they fear the crowd, since as a prophet him they held. Chapter 22. And answering, Jesus said again to them in parables, saying, Has been likened the kingdom of heaven to a man, a king, who made marriage feasts to the son of him. And he sent the slaves of him to call the having been invited to the marriage feast, and not they would come. Again he sent another slave, saying, Say to the having been called, Lo, the dinner of me I prepare, the bullocks of me and the fatlings have been killed, and all things ready. Come to the marriage feasts. They but neglecting went away. He indeed to their own field, he and to the traffic of him. The remainder, having seized the slaves of him, insulted and killed. Having heard that the king was wroth, and having sent the armies of him, destroyed these murderers, those and the city of them buried. Then he says to the slaves of him, Indeed, marriage feasts ready is, they but having been called not were worthy. Go you therefore to the outlets of the ways, and whoever you may find, call you to the marriage feasts. And having gone forth, the slaves those into the ways, they brought together all as many as they found, bad ones both and good ones, and were filled the marriage feasts of the reclining ones. Having entered and the king to see the reclining ones, so there was a man not having been clothed a garment of marriage, and he says to them, Friend, how didst thou enter here not having a garment of marriage? He was but struck speechless. Then said the king to the servants, having bound him the feet and hands, take him and cast him to the darkness, the outer. There shall be weeping and gnashing of the teeth. Many for are called, few are picked out. Then having gone, the Pharisees counsel took, how him they might ensnare inward, and they sent away to him the disciples of them with the Herodians, saying, O teacher, we know that true thou art, and the way of God in truth thou teachest. And now there is care to thee about no one, for thou lookest into the face of man. Say therefore to us what to thee seems right. Is it lawful to give tribute to Caesar or not? Knowing but Jesus the wickedness of them, said, Why me tempt you, hypocrites? Show you to me the coin of the tribute. They and brought to him a denarius. And he says to them, Of whom the likeness is thee and the inscription? They say to him, Of Caesar. Then he says to them, Give you back then the things of Caesar to Caesar, and the things of God to God. And having heard, they wondered, and leaving him, they departed. In that the day came to him Sadducees, they saying not to be a resurrection, and they asked him, saying, Teacher, Moses said, If anyone should die not having children, shall marry the brother of him, the wife of him, and shall raise the seed, the brother of him. There were now with us 7 brothers, and the first having married died, not having seed, left the wife of him to the brother of him, likewise also the second and the third till the 7th. After and all died, also the woman. In therefore resurrection, of whom of the 7 shall be a wife? All 4 had her. Answering, and Jesus said to them, You go astray, not knowing the writings, neither the power of God. In for the resurrection, neither they marry nor are given in marriage, but as messengers in heaven are. About the resurrection of the dead ones, not have you read that having been spoken to you by the God, saying, I am the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. Not is the God a God of dead ones, but of living ones. And having heard, the crowds were astonished at the teaching of him. The Pharisees, hearing that he silenced the Sadducees, were assembled on the same, and asked one of them, a lawyer, tempting him and saying, O teacher, which commandment great and in the law? Then Jesus said to him, Thou shalt love Lord God of thee in all the heart of thee, and in all the soul of thee, and in all the mind of thee. This is the first and great commandment. Second like unto it, Thou shalt love the neighbor of thee as thyself. In these 2 commandments, whole the law and the prophets are hung. Having been assembled, and of the Pharisees asked them Jesus, saying, What do you think about the anointed? Of whom a son is he? Then they say to him, Of David. He said to them, How then David in spirit Lord of him calls, saying, Say the Lord to the Lord of me, Sit thou at thy right of me, till I may place the enemies of thee a footstool at the feet of thee. If then David calls him Lord, how a son of him is he? And no one was able to him to answer a word, nor dared anyone from that day to ask him any more. Chapter 23. And Jesus spoke to the crowds and to the disciples of him, saying, Upon Moses sit the scribes and Pharisees. All therefore, whatever they say to him to observe you and do you according to, but the works of them not do you. They say for, and not they do. They bind for burdens heavy and oppressive, and place upon the shoulders of the men of the finger of them not they will move them. All but the works of them they do to be seen to the men. They widen the phylacteries of them, and they enlarge the tufts of the mantles of them. They love the upper couch in the feasts, and the first seats in the synagogues, the salutations in the markets, and to be called by the men Rabbi. You but not may be called Rabbi. One for is you the leader, all but you brethren are. And Father not you may be called, and Father not you may call of you on the earth. One for is the Father of you, he in the heavens. Neither be ye called leaders. One for of you is the leader, the anointed. They but greater of you shall be of you a servant. Who shall exalt himself shall be humbled, and who shall humble himself shall be exalted. Woe but to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, because you devour the house of the widows, and for a show long are praying. Through this you shall receive heavier judgments. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, because you shut the kingdom of heaven in the presence of the men. You for not enter, nor the entering you permit to enter. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, because you go about sea and the dry to make one proselyte, and when he becomes, you make him a son of Gehenna, a double of you. Woe to the guides blind, the saying, Whoever may swear to the temple, nothing it is, but whoever may swear to the gold of the temple, he is bound. O fools and blind, which for greater is, the gold or the temple? That sanctifying the gold, also whoever may swear by the altar, nothing it is, but whoever may swear by the gift that upon it, he is bound. O fools and blind, which for greater the gift or the altar? That sanctifying the gift, he then swearing by the altar swears by it and all the things upon it, and the swearing by the temple swears by it and by the one having inhabited it, and he swearing by the heavens swears by the throne of God and by the one sitting upon it. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, because you tithe the mint and the dill and the cumin, and pass by the weightier things of the law and justice, and mercy and faith. This but it is binding to do, and those not to omit. Guides blind, the straining out the gnat, but the bat camel swallowing down. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, because you cleanse the outside of the cup and of the dish, within but they are full of rapine and injustice. O Pharisee, blind, cleanse first the inside of the cup and of the dish, that may become also the outside of them clean. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, because you are like tombs having been whitened, which without indeed appear beautiful within, but are full of bones dead and of all uncleanliness. So you without indeed appear to the men just within, but full are of hypocrisy and lawlessness. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, because you build the tombs of the prophets and adorn the monuments of the just, and say, if we had been in the days of the fathers of us, not we had been partakers of them in the blood of the prophets, so that you testify to yourself that sons you are of the having killed the prophets, and you fill you the measure of the fathers of you, O serpents, O broods of vipers. How can you flee from the judgment of Gehenna? Because of this, lo, I send to you prophets and wise men and scribes. Out of them you will kill and you will crucify, and out of them you will scourge in the synagogue of you, and pursue from city to city, so that may come upon you all blood rushes, being shed upon the earth, from the blood of Abel, the just, to the blood of Zechariah the son of Barachias, whom you killed between the temple and the altar. Indeed, I say to you that shall come these things all upon the generations this. Jerusalem, Jerusalem, the killing the prophets, and stoning the having been sent to her. How often to gather the children of thee? What manner gathers a bird the brood of herself under the wings, and not you are willing? Lo, is left to you the house of you a desert. I say for to you, not me, you may see from now till you may say, having been blessed, the coming in the name of the Lord. Chapter 24. And being come out of Jesus was going from the temple, and came the disciples of him to point out to him the buildings of the temple. There Jesus said to them, not you see all this? Indeed, I say to you, not should be left here a stone upon a stone, which now shall be thrown down. Sitting and of him upon the mountain of the olive tree, came to him the disciples privately, saying, tell to us when these things shall be, and what the sign of thy presence and of the end of the age. And answering, Jesus said to them, take heed, not any one of you may deceive. Many for shall come in the name of the Lord of me, saying, I am the anointed, and many they shall deceive. You shall be about to hear wars and reports of wars. See not you be disturbed. It behooves for all to take place, but not yet is the end. Shall be raised up for nation against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and plagues and earthquakes in places. And all this but beginning of sorrows. They shall deliver up you to affliction, and shall kill you, and you shall be hated by all the nations on account of the name of me. Then shall be caused to stumble many, and each other shall deliver up, and shall hate each other. Many false prophets shall be raised up, and shall deceive many, and because of the increased lawlessness shall be cooled the love of many. He but holding out the end shall be saved, and shall be published this the glad tidings of the kingdom in all the habitable, for a testimony to all the nations. Then shall come the end, then shall come the end. When therefore you may see the abominations of the desolation, the word having been spoken through Daniel the prophet, having stood in the place holy, He reading, let him think. Then they in the Judea, let them flee to the mountains. He upon the roof, not let him go down to take the out of the house of him. And he in the field, not let him turn back to take mantle of him. Woe unto the in the womb having, and to the giving suck in those days. Pray you that not may ye take flight in winter or in Sabbath. Shall be for you the affliction great, such as has not been from a beginning of the world till now, nor not may be. And except to shorten the days those, not should be saved all flesh, on account of, but the chosen shall be shortened the days this. Then, if any of you shall say, Lo, here the anointed, or here, if any to you shall say, Lo, here the anointed, or here, not you believe, shall be raised for false anointed ones and false prophets, and shall give signs great and wonders, so as to deceive, if possible, even the chosen. Lo, I have foretold you. If then they shall say to you, Lo, in the desert he is, not you shall go out. Lo, in the retired places, not you shall believe. As for lightning comes out from the east and shines to the west, so shall also be the presence of the Son of Man. Wherefore ever may be the carcass, there will be gathered the eagles. Immediately after the affliction of the days those, the sun shall be darkened, the moon shall not give the light of her, and the stars shall fall from the heavens. The powers of the heavens shall be shaken. Then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in the heaven, and then shall lament all the tribes of the earth, and they shall see the Son of Man coming upon the clouds of the heaven with power, glory much. And he will send the messengers of him with trumpets, a voice great, and they shall gather the chosen ones of him from the four winds, from extremities of heavens to the extremities of them. For from the fig tree learn you the parable. When already the branch of her may be tender, and the leaves may put forth, you know that near the summer. So also you, when you may see all this, know you that near it is at doors. Indeed, I say to you, not may pass away the generation this, till all this may be done. The heaven and the earth shall pass away, but the words of me not may pass away. About the day that and the hour no one knows, nor the messengers of the heavens, except the Father alone. And the days of Noah, even so will be also the presence of the Son of Man. As for they were into the days before the flood, eating, drinking, marrying, and giving in marriage, till of which day entered Noah into the ark, and not they knew, till came the flood and took away all. Even so will be also the presence of the Son of Man. Then two shall be in the field, then one is taken away, and then one is left. Two grinding in the mill, one is taken away, and one is left. Watch you therefore, because you do not know, because not you know in what hour the Lord of you comes. This but know you, that if had known the householder in what watch the thief comes, he would have watched, and not he would have allowed to be dug through the house of him. On account of this also, you be ready, because in which hour not you think the Son of Man comes. Who then is the faithful slave and prudent, whom placed the Lord of him over the domestics of him, of to give to them the food in the seasons? Blessed the slave that, whom coming the Lord of him, shall find him doing so. Indeed, I say to you that over all the possessions of him he will place him, if but should say the bad slave that if in the heart of him delays the Lord of me to come, and should begin to strike the fellow slaves, may eat and also may drink with those getting drunk, shall come the Lord of the slave that in a day, and which not he expects, and in 1 hour, in which not he knows, and shall cut asunder him, and the part of him which the hypocrites will place. There will be the weeping and the gnashing of the teeth. Chapter 25. Then will be compared the kingdom of the heaven. 10 virgins, who having taken lamps of them, went out to a meeting of the bridegroom. 5 and were of them prudent, and 5 foolish. Who foolish, having taken the lamps of them, not took with them oil. But the prudent took oil in the vessels of them, with the lamps of them, delaying, and the bridegroom nodded all, and did sleep of middle and night. A cry was raised, Lo, the bridegroom comes, go out to meet him. Then arose all the virgins, though some put in order the lamps of them. But the foolish to the prudent said, Give us out of the oil of you, because the lamps of us extinguished. Answered but the prudent, saying, Lest not it may suffice to us and to you, go you rather to the selling, and buy of yourselves to going away, and them to buy. Come to the bridegroom, and be prepared. And the prepared ones entered with him into the nuptials feasts, and was closed the door. Afterwards came also the remaining virgins, saying, O Lord, open to us. They but answering said, Indeed I say to you, not know you. Watch you therefore, because not know you the day nor the hour, like for a man going abroad, exiled the own slaves, and delivered to them the goods of him. And to him indeed he gave 5 talents, to him and 2, to him and 1, to each according to their own power, and went abroad immediately. Going, and he, the 5 talents having received, traded with them, and made other 5 likewise. Also he, the 2, gained also the other 2. But they having received, having retired, digged the earth, and hid the silver of the Lord of him. After but time much comes the Lord of the slaves, those and adjust with them an account. And coming, he the 5 talents having received, borrowed another 5 talents, saying, O Lord, 5 talents to me thou deliverest. See, other 5 talents I gained upon them. Say to him the Lord of him, Well, O slave, good and faithful, over a few things thou art faithful, over many thee I will place. Enter into the joy of the Lord of thee. Coming also the 2 talents, having received, said, O Lord, 2 talents to me thou deliverest. Lo, other 2 talents I gained. Said to him the Lord of him, Well, O slave, good and faithful, over a few things thou wast faithful, over many thee I will place. Enter into the joy of the Lord of thee. Coming, and also he the 1 talent having taken said, O Lord, I knew thee, that had thou art a man, reaping where now thou sowed, and gathering whence thou not scattered. And being afraid, going away, I hid the talent of thee in the earth. Lo, thou hast the thine. Answering the Lord of him said to him, O wicked slave and slothful, didst thou know that I reap where I sow, I reap where I not sowed, and gather whence not I scattered? It behooved then thee to cast the silver of me into the bankers, and coming I might have received mine with interest. Take you therefore from him the talent, and give to him having the 10 talents. For the having all shall be given, and he shall abound. But from the not having, even what he has shall be taken away from him. And the useless slave cast you into the darkness, the outer. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. When and may come the Son of Man in the glory of him, and all messengers with him, then shall be seated on a throne of glory of him, and will be gathered in presence of him all nations, and he will separate them from each other, as the shepherd separates the sheep from the goats, and he will place indeed the sheep by the right of him, and the goats by the left. Then will say the king to the right of him, Come, the having been blessed of the Father of me, inherit the having been prepared to you the kingdom from a foundation of world. I hungered for, and you gave me to eat. I thirsted, and you gave me to drink. A stranger I was, and you entertained me. Naked, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you visited me. In prison I was, and you came to me. Then shall answer to him the just one, saying, O Lord, when thee we saw hungering and nourished, or thirsting, and we gave drink, then when and thee we saw a stranger, and we entertained, or naked, and we clothed, then and thee we saw sick, or in prison, and we came to thee. And answering the king will say unto them, Indeed I say to you, in whatever you did to one of these, of the brothers of me, of the least to me, you did. Then he will say also to the of the left, Go from me, having been cast into the fire, the everlasting, that having been prepared to the accuser and to the messengers of him. I hungered for, and not you gave me for it to eat. I thirsted, and not you gave me drink. A stranger I was, and not you entertained me. Naked, and not you clothed me. Sick, and in prison, and not you visited me. Then will answer and they saying, When thee we saw hungering or thirsting, or a stranger, or naked, or sick, or in prison, not we served thee? Then he will answer them, saying, Indeed I say to you, inasmuch not you did to one of these, to one of the least, neither to me you did, and shall go away thee into a cutting off everlasting, and just ones into life everlasting. Chapter 26. And it happened when he had finished the Jesus all the words, he said to the disciples of him, You know that after 2 days the Passover comes on, and the Son of a Man is delivered unto to be crucified. Then were assembled the high priests and the scribes and the elders of the people unto the courts of the high priest, that being called Caiaphas. And they consulted, and Jesus with the deceit they might seize and might kill. They said, But not in the feast, that not a tumult should be among the people. Then Jesus, having been arrived in Bethany, in a house of Simon the leper, came to him a woman, an alabaster box of balsam, having great value, and she poured upon the head of him being reclined. Saying, and the disciples of him were displeased, saying, On account of what the loss this, she was able for this to have sold of much, and to have given to poor. Knowing, and the Jesus said to them, Why troubles present you to the woman? A work for good she has wrought for me. Always for the poor you have with yourself, me, but always you have. Having cast for she the balsam, this upon the body of me, to prepare for burial, me she did. Indeed, I say to you, wherever you may be published, the glad tidings this, in whole the world shall be spoken also, what did she for a memorial after. Then, going one of the 12, he being named Judas Iscariot, to the high priest said, what are you willing to me to give, and I to you will deliver up him? They paid him 30 pieces of silver, and from them he did seek opportunity that him he might deliver up. Then and first of the feast of the leavened bread came the disciples of Jesus, saying to him, where wilt thou we make ready to thee to eat the Passover? He said, go you into the city, into the certain one, and say unto him, the teacher says, the season of me nigh is. To thee I will make the Passover with the disciples of me. And did the disciples are commanded to them the Jesus, and they prepared the Passover. Of evening, and being come, he reclined with the 12, and of eating of them he said, indeed I say to you, that one of you will deliver me up. And being grieved exceedingly, they began to say to him, each one of them, not I am, O Lord. He but answering said, he dipping with me in the bowl in the hand, this me will deliver up. The indeed Son of Man goes, as it has been written about him. Woe but to the man that, through whom the Son of Man is delivered up. Good it was to him, if not was born the man that, answering and Judas, he delivering him, said, not I am, Rabbi. He says to him, thou hast said. Eating, and of them, having taken Jesus the loaf, and having blessed, broke, and gave to the disciples, and said, take you, eat you, this is the body of me. And having taken the cup, and having given thanks, he gave to them, saying, drink you out of it all, for this is the blood of me, that of the new covenant, that about many being shed for forgiveness of sin. I say but of you that not will I drink from now on this the product of the vine, till the day that when I drink with you in the kingdom of the Father of me. And having sung a hymn, they departed to the mountain of the olive tree. Then he says to them, the Jesus, all you will be stumbled, and me in the dark, and at me in the night. This it is written, for I will smite the shepherd, and will be scattered the sheep of the fold. After but to be raised me, I will go before you to the Galilee. Answering, and Peter said to him, if all shall be stumbled at thee, I will never be stumbled. Said to him Jesus, indeed I say to him that in this the night before a cock to have crowed, thrice thou wilt deny me. Says to him the Peter, and if it may behoove me with thee to die, not most thee I will deny. In like manner, also in all the disciples said. Then comes with them the Jesus into a place being called Gethsemane, and says to the disciples, sit you here, while going away I shall pray there. And having taken there Peter and 2 sons of Zebedee, he began to be sorrowful and to be in anguish. Then he says to them, extremely sorrowful is the soul of me to death. Remain you here, and watch you with me. And going forward a little, he fell on the face of him, praying and saying, O Father of me, if possible it is, let pass from me the cup this. but not as I will, but as thou. And he comes to the disciples and finds them sleeping, and he says to Peter, So not could you 1 hour to watch with me? Watch you and pray you, that not may enter into temptation. The indeed spirit ready, the but flesh weak. Again, a second time going away, he prayed, saying, O Father of me, if not it is possible, this the cup to pass from me, except it I drink, be done the will of thee. And coming, he finds them again sleeping, wherefore of them the eyes weighed down. And leaving them, going away again, he prayed a third time, the word speaking. Then he comes to the disciples of him, says to them, Sleep you the remainder, and rest you. Lo, has come the hour, and the Son of Man is delivered up into the hands of sinner. Arise, let us go. Lo, has come nigh the delivering up of me. And while of him speaking, lo, Judas, one of the 12, came, and with him a crowd great, with swords and clubs from the high priests and elders of the people. He, delivering up him, gave to them a sign, saying, Whoever I may kiss, he it is. Says him. And immediately approaching the Jesus, he said to him, Hail, Rabbi, and kissed him. But Jesus said to him, Companion, for what art thou present? Then coming, they laid the hands of the Jesus, and they seized him. And lo, one of they with Jesus, stretching the hand, drew out the sword of him, and striking the slave of the high priest, cut of him the ear. Then says to him Jesus, Return this sword unto the place of her, and all for the taking a sword by a sword shall perish. Or thinkest thou that not I am able to entreat the Father of me, and will furnish to me more than 12 legions of messengers? How then should be fulfilled the writings, that thus it must be done? In that the hour, said the Jesus to the crowds, As upon a robber came you out with swords and clubs, to take me every day with you. I did sit teaching in the temple, and not you seized me. This but all has been done, that might be fulfilled the writings of the prophets. Then the disciples all, leaving him, they fled. They, and seizing the Jesus, they led to the Caiaphas, high priest, where the scribes and the elders were assembled. But Jesus followed him at a distance. Peter followed him at a distance to the palace of the high priest, and having gone in, sat with the attendants to see the end. And the high priests and the elders and the high council whole night false testimony against the Jesus, so that him they might deliver to death. And not they found many false witnesses, having come. Afterwards, by coming to, says, This affirmed, I'm able to destroy the temple of God, and in 3 days to build it. And rising up, the high priest said to him, Nothing answerest thou? What these of thee testify against? But Jesus was silent, and answering the high priest said to him, Adjure thee by the God of the living, that to tell us, if thou art the anointed, the Son of God. Says to him the Jesus, Thou hast said. Besides, I say to you, from now you shall see the Son of Man sitting at the right hand of the power, and coming upon clouds of the heaven. Then the high priest rent the clothes of him, saying, That he blasphemes. What further need have we of witnesses? See now, you heard the blasphemy of him. What do you think? They and answering said, Liable to death he is. Then they spat into the face of him, and beat with the fist of him. They and struck with the palms of their hands, saying, Prophesy to us, anointed. Who is he striking thou? The Peter without sat in the courtyard, and came to him one mild servant, saying, Also thou wast with Jesus of Galilee. He but denied in presence of them all, saying, Not I know what thou sayest. Going out and he into the portico, he saw him another, and says to those there also, This was the Jesus of Nazareth. And again he denied with an oath, that I do not know the man. After a little, and approaching those having stood by, said to the Peter, Certainly, also thou of them art, even for the speech of thee manifests thee makes. Then he began curse and to swear, that I know not the man, and instantly a cock crew. And remembered Peter of the word of Jesus, declaring to him that before a cock crows thrice, you will deny me. And going out, he wept bitterly. Chapter 27. Morning and having come, a council had all the high priests and elders of the people against Jesus, so as to deliver to death him. And binding him, they led and delivered him up Pilate the governor. Then seeing Jesus, that betraying him, he was condemned, repenting, he returned the 30 pieces of silver to the high priests. And saying, I sinned, having delivered up blood innocent. Then but said, What to us? Thou wilt see. And hurling the pieces of silver in the temple, Judas withdrew, and having gone forth, strangled himself. The high priest, having the pieces of silver, said, Not is it lawful to put them in the treasury, since a price of blood it is. Cancel, and taking, they bought with them the field of the potter, to bury the strangers. Therefore it is called the field that a field of blood to the day. Then was fulfilled the word spoken through Jeremiah the prophet, saying, And I took 30 pieces of silver, the price having been valued, whom they valued for the sons of Israel, and gave them for the field of the potter, even as directed me a Lord. Then Jesus stood in the presence of the governor, and asked him the governor, saying, Thou art the king of the Jews? Then Jesus said to him, Thou sayest. And in the to be accused him by the high priest and the elders, nothing he answered. Then says to him the Pilate, Not thou hearest so many things of thee they bear witness against? And not he answered him, to not even one word, so as to astonish the governor greatly. And at a feast was accustomed the governor to release one to the crowd prisoner, whom they wished. They had, and the prisoner noted, being called Barabbas. Having been assembled then of them, said to them Pilate, Which wish you I release to you, Barabbas or Jesus? The being called Christ, he knew for that through envy they had delivered up him. being seated and of him upon the tribunal, sent to him the wife of him, saying, Nothing to thee and to the just one that. Many things, for I suffer this day in a dream because of him. The high priests and the elders persuaded crowds that they should ask Barabbas the Jesus they might destroy. Answering, the governor said to them, Which wish you of two I shall release to you? They said, Barabbas. He said to them, the Pilate, What then shall I do to Jesus, the being called Christ? They said to him all, Let him be crucified. The governor said, What for evil has he done? But vehemently cried, saying, Let him be crucified. Seeing and the Pilate that nothing profits, but rather a tumult is made, taking water, he washed the hands before the crowd, saying, Innocent am I of the blood of the just. Of this you shall see. And answering, all the people said, The blood of him be upon us and upon the children of us. Then he released to them the Barabbas, and Jesus having scourged, he delivered up, that he may be crucified. Then the soldiers of the governor, taking the Jesus into the judgment hall, they gathered together to him the company, and having stripped him, they put to him a soldier's cloak scarlet, and braiding a crown of thorns placed upon the head of him, and a reed of the right of him, and bending the knee in the presence of him, mocked him, saying, Hail the King of the Jews! And spitting on him, they took the reed and struck on the head of him. And when they had mocked him, they took off him the soldier's cloak, and put on him the garment of him, and led him to be crucified. Going out, they met a man Cyrenian by name Simon. Him they compelled that he might carry the cross of him. And coming into a place being called Golgotha, which is being called, or a skull, a place, they gave to him to drink vinegar with gall, having been mixed, and having tasted not, he will drink. Crucifying and him, they divided the garments of him, casting a lot, and being seated, they watched him there. They placed above the head of him the accusation of him having been written, Jesus, this is Jesus, the King of the Jews. Then were crucified with him two robbers, one by right and one by left. Those and passing along reviled him, shaking the heads of them, and they saying, He overthrowing the temple, and in 3 days building, save thyself. If a man thou art of God, come down from the cross. Likewise also the high priests, mocking with the scribes and the elders, said, Others he saved, himself not is able to save. If a king of Israel he is, let him come down from the cross, and we will give credit to him. He trusted in the God, let him rescue now him. If he wishes him, he said, For that of God I am a son, that through it also the robbers, those being crucified with him, reproach him. From now 6th hour darkness was on all the land, till hour 9th. About 9th hour cried out the Jesus with a voice great, saying, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani, that is, O God of me, O God of me, why me hast thou forsaken? Some and those there standing, having heard, said, For Elias he cries. And immediately running one of them, taking a sponge, filling of vinegar, and attaching to a reed, gave to drink him. But others said, Leave alone, we may see if comes Elias, will be saving him. Then Jesus, again crying with a voice great, resigned the breath. And lo, the curtain of the temple was rent into two, from above to below, and the earth was shaken, and the rocks were rent, and the tombs were open, and many bodies of the having been asleep, holy ones, were raised, and coming forth from the tombs, after the resurrection of him, went into the holy city, and appeared to many. And the centurion and those with him, watching Jesus, seeing the earthquake and the things being done, were afraid much, saying, Truly, O God, a son was this. And there were women, many from a distance beholding, who followed the Jesus from Galilee, ministering to him, among whom was Mary Magdalene, and Mary of the James and Joseph's mother, the mother of the sons of Zebedee. Evening and being come, came a man rich from Arimathea, by name Joseph, who also himself was discipled to Jesus. He, coming to the Pilate, requested the body of the Jesus. Then the Pilate ordered to be given the body, and taking the body, the Joseph wrapped it fine linen cloth clean, and laid it in the new of himself tomb, which he had hewn in the rock. And having rolled a stone great on the door tomb, he went away. And there Mary Magdalene, and was there Mary the Magdalene, and the other Mary, sitting over against the sepulchre. The now next day, which is after the preparation, were assembled the high priests and the Pharisees to the Pilate, saying, O sir, we remember that the deceiver said, while living, After 3 days I will arise. Do thou command, therefore, to be made fast the tomb till the 3rd day, lest coming the disciples of him might steal him, and might say to the people, He has been raised from the dead, and will be the last fraud worse than the first. Said to them the Pilate, You have a guard, go you, make fast as you know. Then going made fast the tomb, having sealed the tomb with a guard. Chapter 28. And now Sabbath, to the dawning into first of the week, came Mary the Magdalene and the other Mary to see the tomb. And lo, a shaking occurred great, a messenger of our Lord, descending from heaven, approaching, rolled away the stone from, and sat upon it. And the aspect of him like a lightning, and garments of him white as snow. And the fear of him shook the keepers, and became as dead as men. As dead. Answering, the messenger said to the women, Not be afraid you. I know for that Jesus, having been crucified, you seek. Not he is here. He has been raised, for even as he said, Come see the place where lay the Lord. And quickly going, tell the disciples of him that he has been raised from the dead. And lo, he goes before you into Galilee. There him you will see. Lo, I told you. And coming out quickly, the tomb, with fear and joy great, they ran to inform the disciples of him. And as they went to inform the disciples of him, and Lord Jesus met them, saying, Hail you. They, and having approached, lay hold of him the feet, and prostrated to him. Then says to them the Jesus, Not be afraid. Go you, inform the brethren of me, so that they may go into Galilee, and there me they shall see. Going away, and of them, lo, some of the keepers coming into the city told the high priest all the things having been done, and being assembled with the elders, councils, and taking pieces of silver sufficient, they gave to the soldiers, saying, Say you that the disciples of him by night coming stole him, and of us being asleep. And if should be reported this to the governor, we will persuade him, and you, free from care, you will make. They, and having received the pieces of silver, did as they were taught, and is spread abroad the word that this among the Jews till the day. Then 11 disciples went to the Galilee, to the mountain where he had appointed them, the Jesus, and seeing him, they prostrated to him. They but doubted, and approaching the Jesus spoke to them, saying, Has been given to me all authority in heaven and on earth. Going forth, disciples. Disciple you all the nations, immersing them into the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, teaching them to observe all whatever I have charged you. And lo, I wish you all the days till the end of the age. According to Matthew.